The Toyota Tacoma has always been the king of the midsize truck segment. However, with the newly redesigned model, Toyota has decided to bring that to an entirely new level. The Toyota Tacoma was the progenitor of the hybrid midsize pickup truck, and as such became even more popular amongst all kinds of buyers and customers. And to make things even better, Toyota upgraded the hybrid even further, making it by far the most alluring pickup truck in its class. So let's not waste any time and check out how the all-new 2025 Toyota Tacoma Hybrid wows everybody. Cheaper entry-level trim. One of the biggest problems with the hybrid Tacoma was its, well, very steep entry price point. The cheapest version of the Tacoma Hybrid was the TRD Sport IMAX, which started at a whopping $46,600, which is way too much even if the truck offered quite a bit of off-road ability. Now, we get it. Toyota tried to prove to the world that a hybrid pickup truck would still be a good off-roader, which is why they practically forced us to go a bit more premium if we wanted a hybrid. Well, after the novelty of being the first hybrid pickup truck in its segment wore off, Toyota decided to grace us with some cheaper Tacoma hybrids, with the entry-level model coming in the form of the hybrid SR5. This has also been done because Toyota wanted to move towards its goal of offering hybrid-only vehicles in the next couple of years. This version of the truck will come with a smaller 8-inch display, relatively basic cloth seats, a more rugged and, well, frankly, cheaper interior, as well as 17-inch wheels. As for the power, you shouldn't expect anything less than the TRD Sport, as the powertrain will be identical to it. You will be getting all-wheel drive as standard, which is an improvement over the standard non-hybrid SR5. However, if you were hoping for an extended cab version, we will have to unfortunately disappoint you, as the SR5 IMAX will be coming with a 5-foot bed and a crew cab configuration as the only option. And as much as this sounds disappointing, we'd argue that it makes sense. After all, the hybrid powertrain tends to have quite a bit less utility, so you'd be better off with the regular SR5 anyway. That said, the SR5 Hybrid will introduce with it a whole heap of price changes for all hybrid trims, but more on that later. Transmission issues have been resolved. A common issue with any newly introduced vehicle is it has quite a bit of issues, and the Tacoma was no exception to this rule. Unfortunately, the issue with the Tacoma, both hybrid and non-hybrid, was far bigger than some misaligned panels or faulty electricals. No, the Tacoma experienced an issue with its transmission, which often resulted in the complete failure of the gearbox and replacing it altogether. This single issue has turned out to be a myriad of smaller issues that have been fairly commonplace with the Tacoma, which include a problem with the torque converter, the pressure control actuator getting stuck, as well as many other smaller issues. Thankfully, not only did Toyota recall all of the vehicles that exhibited any of these symptoms and replace their transmissions as a form of precaution, they've also completely fixed it so that it won't happen in the future. In addition to that, they've also tweaked the gearbox to be more responsive and less indecisive when upshifting and downshifting, allowing for a far smoother experience and a far better torque and power delivery. Speaking of, improved performance and MPG. The Toyota Tacoma has largely been considered a letdown when it comes down to both power and MPG figures, as it wasn't powerful enough to drink up gasoline the way it did. Case in point, the low-output iForce 2.4 with a manual transmission could only do 23 mpg average, which is 2 mpg more than a Nissan Frontier with a 3.8-liter V6 engine with around 100 horsepower more. Now, the hybrid mitigated this a bit. However, since it was mostly present on off-road trims, the benefit was minuscule and the truck could once again do only 23 mpg average, admittedly with all-wheel drive equipped. And even though it produced over 300 horsepower, it was slower than the non-hybrid 280 horsepower version because of the added weight. Well, this has been improved now, and the truck will be a bit more fuel efficient, primarily because the transmission won't be as sluggish as it was before, and it'll allow it to be a bit peppier from 0 to 60. With the transmission, benefit is incidental, and is very unnoticeable when compared to the fact that the hybrid powertrain has been improved too. It now produces around 15 horsepower more. This might seem very unnoticeable, but this power boost allows the truck to have quite a bit more pep when going around the city, as well as having a bit more oomph when going from a standstill. Now, should you expect a world of difference? No, but it'll certainly be more than a welcome improvement and will help increase MPG by 1 or 2 on average. But if you're interested in even greater performance and fuel saving, then don't worry. The plug-in hybrid is coming. The Ford Ranger Raptor has been quite the hit with the masses, offering a solid amount of power for a relatively affordable price. Now, Toyota has been very perceptive of this strategy and this approach to the market, and they too have decided to offer us a performance-oriented version of the Tacoma. However, as was to be expected from Toyota, they did it their way by providing a powerful plug-in hybrid. This version of the venerable Tacoma will come with the same 2.4-liter four-cylinder engine as the regular Tacoma and Tacoma Hybrid. The engine will have an increased power output in the Tacoma, though, pushing around 300 horsepower. However, it'll be accompanied by a more powerful electric powertrain. They'll add an additional 150 horsepower and will have around 30 miles of autonomy. As a result of this, the truck will have a 0 to 60 time of around 5 seconds, which will allow the Tacoma to directly compete against the Ranger Raptor when it comes down to sheer performance. However, you should expect a reduced bed capacity, as the batteries that will be used will require the bed to be a bit shallower due to them sitting under it. But unlike the Raptor, which is an off-road oriented truck, the Tacoma PHEV will be more road oriented, as its additional weight will surely be a massive deterrent from achieving its full potential off the pavement. You can also expect this truck to be quite a bit more expensive than the Ranger Raptor. However, it, alongside the aforementioned SR5 Hybrid, will result in tectonic disturbances with the pricing of the hybrid lineup altogether. Pricing and trim levels. Toyota has decided to seriously cut down on the pricing of both the non-hybrid and especially its hybrid model lineup, as despite still being the best-selling pickup truck in the segment, its very steep price kept potential buyers away from it. This resulted in the Tacoma selling almost 40% less than the previous model's final year production, with sales dipping more and more. As a result, the new entry-level SR5 Hybrid is expected to start from around $40,000, which is a very reasonable price considering how much stuff you'll be getting with it, and especially because, well, it's a hybrid. The TRD Sport Hybrid and the TRD Off-Road Hybrid will start from some odd $44,000, with the off-road being some $200 to $300 more expensive than the TRD Sport. The TRD Sport will be an all-rounder vehicle, focusing on road comfort, creature comforts, as well as general on-road performance, all while offering a pretty solid off-road experience through its TRD suspension. It'll also come with a quite nice interior, and the most notable upgrade over the SR5 will be the seats and the 12.3-inch infotainment screen. The TRD Off-Road will come with multi-terrain selected crawl control and an electronically locking rear differential, as well as a stabilizer control unit. However, you will be saying bye-bye to the 12.3-inch unit, and the interior will generally be more basic than the one found in the Sport. Next in line is the Toyota Tacoma Limited Hybrid, which will be focused exclusively on being as road-friendly as possible. It'll have a very luscious interior with nicely padded leather seats, a much higher quality dashboard with walnut accents, as well as adaptive variable suspension that'll only improve the comfort. This will cost you, though, around $52,000, which is a bargain compared to the previous year's model, but it is still pretty expensive. Finally, the Trail Hunter and the TRD Pro will start at $58,000 and $60,000 respectively. One of these vehicles is a true off-road beast with no compromises, and the other is the king of overlanding in its segment. If we're being frank, the TRD Pro is pretty expensive for being, well, a relatively compromised vehicle, which is why we would recommend the Trail Hunter over it. It's just a much less situational vehicle. As for the PHEV, no pricing has been announced yet. However, we expect it to start at around $55,000 and go up to $65,000 depending on the level of equipment, which is a pretty penny. But then again, you are getting a pretty big amount of car per dollar, aren't you? Thanks for watching and see you next time.